Vulnerability is a word that is thrown around our environment, the culture, in churches, in counselling, that we need to be vulnerable. We need to be honest with people. What role does vulnerability play in leadership health?
Yeah, I think it's important that we understand that being vulnerable doesn't mean I throw up on you.
Right.
That's pretty graphic, but actually vulnerability is, this is what I'm walking through, and this is where I'm reaching out to hopefully get the answer.
Yeah.
And so I know Bill talks about that we shouldn't preach from what we are actually going through, and yet at the same time he does a brilliant job of bringing us into what he's going through, right?
Yeah.
And so there's two different things going on there, and transparency versus vulnerability. Maybe you can help us out with that.
Yeah. Well, there is a difference between transparency and vulnerability, in my opinion. Being transparent with someone is, you see everything. It's see-through. It's, you get to see all of my stuff, all of my issues, all of my concerns, all of my struggles, all my strengths. And that is great in a really safe space with my husband, with your spouse, with your counselor, someone trusted that can speak into your life. I'm not necessarily going to be fully transparent with the people I'm leading with all of my stuff. Vulnerability to me is, here's a piece of me, here's a piece of what I'm going through, or what I've learnt, or what I've processed, or hey, I'm struggling today, so I'm honest with you about this little piece, but it's not the full see through everything, but here's a piece of what I'm going through, and I'll be honest, and I'm going to share my heart, but my transparency is with my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think one of the problems we have as preachers is when we get free, we don't have a boundary as to what we should share.
Yeah.
And I always think that it's important not to overshare from the stage, although I am always on the cutting edge of that, because I am a verbal processor, right? But I try to share from a place of freedom that came at the end of it.
Yeah.
And so I think vulnerability is kind of like, here I am, can you find you in my story?
Yeah.
Because if you can find yourself in my story, not in all the graphic detail,
Right.
Then you actually can walk in this place of freedom with me in the path that it took for me to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very good. So how are you vulnerable with your team and the people you lead? Like, what aspects of your life are you bringing them into?
You know, my team, again, we are inner healing, deliverance counselors, therapists, so we're going to probably be a lot more vulnerable than other places, but I would say just about every aspect of I'm not graphic in any of those aspects, but I'm very vulnerable. We even make jokes about some things that maybe you wouldn't make jokes in other situations, but it's because of what we do in our roles. So, there is a piece of me that my team doesn't see, and often. And that's the non-powerful woman. Even when I'm explaining what I'm going through, I share it from a place of, even in despair, that I'm looking for hope.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm doing that. But they don't see me cry often.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the other day, they're like, it's okay, Donna, if you cry about this. I'm like, I don't want to cry.
Yeah.
So there's a little piece of that is there.
Yeah. I think it's important for us to share our emotions as well, and in a stable, healthy way. There's a way to share emotions that is unstable, I believe, where I'm an emotional wreck and I'm high one day and I'm down on the floor in a mess the next. I think we're called to not be led by our emotions, but be aware of what's going on. And if I was an emotional wreck all the time, or a roller coaster, my team wouldn't have that stability to know they could trust me or depend on me. But at the same time, I want to be honest and real. I think my team's the same. They know that when I'm having a good day, or when it's not so good, or when the situation is challenging, there's an awareness of, this is actually really hard to go through, or, I've just had this really difficult thing happen in the family, and can bring that in without being an emotional mess. what's the importance of stability to you? Presenting as a stable, strong leader. Why is that important to you and your team?
Well, if the parents are out of control, the kids, they're just going to be like, what are we doing? We have to parent ourselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like that as a leader, I can be vulnerable, but I better not be out of control.
Yeah.
Because they need to know that mom's going to make it through or dad's going to make it through. And, they're in a family dynamic. We can all grieve. We can all see truth, but we have to do it from a place of somehow through God, we're going to get through this.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. The element is hope. Like the difference is hope, and that we always have that perspective that when we're looking at situations, there is always hope. Backlands, there's always a solution. There's always a good outcome because the Lord's involved and He's going to get us through.
And I love how they bring that about, right? That there's hope. I look at it more as there's always God.
Yeah.
I might not actually feel hope in my situation. I love how they bring that because that's the truth of what I'm sensing. Yeah. But I'm actually maybe not even able to find the hope in the situation, but I'm able to know that no matter what, there is God.
Yeah.
And that's what I bring to the team. I don't bring the cheerleading. It's not in me to just, wow, yeah. But I bring the applause, like, well done, thy good and faithful servant, or come on up here, it's going to be okay. My process is just where can we find God in the midst of the situation? And I love how the Backlands do that through there's hope. And I think they're farther ahead in that because I'm more like hope is in God.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get people to find God to find their hope.